Hi guys, so this is the first video that I wanted to make talking a little bit about the ZX10R rear shock swap for the SV650, and specifically I'll be swapping this 0607 ZX10R rear shock onto my 2007 naked SV650. So I specifically wanted the 2006-2007 model rear shock because as you can see here, the shock reservoir is actually designed exactly perpendicular to the shock body, so this makes it a lot easier to install on your bike with less required modifications. Other year rear shocks will have the reservoir angled away from 90 degrees, so that actually makes it tougher to swap onto your SV. And I bought this shock off of eBay for about 50 bucks, so I wouldn't really expect to pay much more than that anywhere else for a used ZX10R shock. One thing to note, when you're buying it used, make sure your seller actually includes the lower mounting bolt, which goes through right here. You can reuse the upper mounting bolt from your SV, but you definitely need the bottom mounting bolt specifically made for the ZX10R shock. And in the description section I'll include a few links. The first link will be one to a really useful thread on SVRiders.com, which gives a really nice detailed photo log of how to do the swap. And in the second link I'll include, it will show you where to buy the lower mounting bolt in case your seller didn't include it. And in the third link, it will be to the 0607 ZX10R service manual. So that's specific for this year's rear shock. So if you have a different year, you might want to look up the corresponding service manual. And now I'm just going to quickly go over how to actually adjust the rear shock for your specific weight. And all this information will be included in the ZX10R service manual, but I just wanted to quickly go over it. So there are basically three adjustments to make on your rear shock. The first is the rebound damping force adjustment, and that is done using this screw right here. So what you want to do is you want to turn this all the way counterclockwise, and then in the service manual it says if you're a 150-pound rider with no passengers and no accessories, then you would turn it counterclockwise 2 turns out. So that's what I did here. And I actually turned it an extra quarter turn because I weigh slightly more than 150 pounds, and I also always use my riding gear. So the next adjustment is the compression damping force adjustment, and that's done using this screw here. So you want to again turn this screw all the way counterclockwise, and in the service manual it says if you're 150 pounds with no passengers and no accessories, then to turn it 4 turns counterclockwise. So I actually turned it 4.5 turns counterclockwise because again I weigh slightly more than 150 pounds and I always have my full riding gear on. And finally, the last adjustment to make is a spring preload adjustment, and that's done using these 2 bolts here. And you actually need a special tool known as a hook wrench, but you don't have to go out and buy it because that's actually included in your SV toolkit. So in the ZX10R service manual, it says if you're 150 pounds with no passengers and no accessories, to have a spring length, which is from the top to bottom here, of 180 millimeters or 7 inches. So I actually have that set right now to slightly more than 7 inches because again I'm slightly more than 150 pounds. So I'm not going to show you guys how to do that here, but basically what you do is you take the hook wrench and then you would turn the lock nut, which is the outer nut, out, and then you would use the hook wrench again to turn this inner nut to actually adjust the length of your screw, to adjust the length of your spring by compressing it or letting it out to where you want it to be. And once you have that set, you would turn the lock nut back clockwise to be flushed up against the adjustment screw. So that's pretty self-explanatory, and I think adjusting the rear shock is not a really difficult task. So that's pretty much all I have to say right now about the ZX10R rear shock swap on the SV. In the next video I'll actually show how to put this on the bike I don't really expect it to be a really complicated procedure, but afterwards I'll also give a detailed review of the differences that I feel between this ZX10R rear shock and the stock SV650 rear shock. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below or send me a private message, and I'll definitely get back to you. Thanks for watching.